to CloudGuard Recorded Future's inaugural webinar. So today, driving SOC efficiency with automated threat intelligence into Microsoft Sentinel. Thank you for taking the time to join, first of all. I know it's undoubtedly a busy period leading up to Christmas and end of year. And thank you to our partners, Recorded Future, for running this with us today, and of course to the speakers for the work they've put in. Let's kick off. So quickly, who are we? For those of you that may not be aware, CloudGuard are a boutique security specialist. We predominantly focus on managed extended detection response, so MXDR services. Recorded Future are very close partners of ours, world leaders in threat intelligence. And today's objective really for our webinar is on screen. But primarily what we want to do is we want to make it absolutely clear on the strength of our partnership with Recorded Future, why it's important to both us, to our business, to our customers, and why it's important in the world of SOC, SIEM, and MXDR. So from CloudGuard today, I have myself, I'm Curtis. I head up our go-to-market and partnerships team. We have Yak, who is head of automation, alongside John, also working from there. Again, will introduce themselves later in the session when it's their time to present. And we also have Dan, who's kindly joined us from Recorded Future. Quick agenda and housekeeping. Feel free or throughout the session just to pop any questions into the chat. We can address those at the end with a Q&A. We're going to start with Dan, who's going to introduce us to Recorded Future, talk about the benefits of their service and exactly what it is they do within Microsoft Sentinel. And also then passing over to Yak and John from CloudGuard to show you the day in the life of a SOC analyst, talk in great detail about what we've done with Recorded Future and how we've taken the partnership and their services to the next level, and then a live demonstration as well. Dan, that means over to you, sir, without further ado.
Cool. Perfect. Thanks, Curtis. So yeah, welcome everybody, and thanks for joining. So very briefly, who am I? So my name's Dan Lockhart. I'm a senior channel sales engineer at Recorded Future. So I've been at Recorded Future now for around about 4.5 years, and have prior experience with security operations. So my main sort of reason for being here today is to give you a bit of an overview of Recorded Future and also just explain sort of the partnership between us and the CloudGuard team. So first off, who is Recorded Future? So we are the world's largest threat intelligence company. We've been collecting data since 2009 when we were first founded. And currently today we have around 1 million sources in which we collect information from. So at the top of this slide here, you see some example source types that we have within the platform. So our technical sources, this can be anything from domain registration data. It could be where we get all of our indicators of compromise from. And the real sort of value of the Recorded Future platform is the context and the visibility that we're able to provide our end clients. We have open web sources as well. So anything from social media through to clear web blogs, mainstream news sites. And then we have deep and dark web collection. So within this sort of area, we're really focusing around dark web marketplaces. So looking for data being sold, dark web forums, looking for just general chatter around organizations. We have ransomware extortion blog data in here as well. So when the ransomware operators are, publishing the data that they've, collected on a specific organization as well, we have full visibility into that. And a lot of credential data as well. So a lot of credential data in the form of like malware logs or just standard uploads to dark web forums. We've got, really good visibility into that area as well. We're pulling all of that data into Recorded Future, and then we're utilizing that in a number of different ways. But finally, before I go into the ways and how we're using the data, we have what we call our InSICT group as well. So this is Recorded Future's internal research arm or research function. And the best way to think of these people are, these are the humans, right, that are creating research and publishing that into our platform. So think of them as the human overlay to all of the automated collection that we have within the product. And for the vast majority of those million sources that I mentioned before, it's in real time. Okay, so again, being able to provide that context, quick clarity on things that we really need to know about is very key, and that's going to be the theme as we go through this webinar today. Now, how do we access the data? So we have our what we call our modules. So we have 9 modules in our portfolio, but the big sort of talking point today is going to be around our integrations. So we're working with the CloudGuard team on the basis of a Sentinel integration. So Recorded Future has over 100 out-of-the-box integrations, but Sentinel is one of our key ones. And again, you'll see today some of the great work that the CloudGuard team have been doing. And we've also implemented Recorded Future AI. So we have artificial intelligence now within Recorded Future in various different areas. Again, being able to help out with some of that workload that's usually taken by the analyst. Okay, so a key part of security operations and what we do is really around context, right? So what Recorded Future is able to do is to provide context and clarity around threats, okay? So bit of a small screenshot on the right-hand side, but this is what we call an intelligence card within the platform. So an intelligence card is really a way for us to be able to see everything that Recorded Future knows about the indicator that we're interested in, okay? So we'll provide a risk score. Now that risk score is driven by evidence, purely by evidence, okay? So we're completely transparent in how we've come up with that risk score that we have, and this is in the form of what we call risk rules. So this will include the rule name. It will also include all of the supporting evidence as well, again, to support that overall risk score. So from an end user perspective, and again, what we're working with the CloudGuard team on is being able to enrich within the likes of Sentinel with this level of information, okay? And that's something that you're going to see as we go through. But really, some of the key capabilities is that real-time risk scoring to identify the severity of a threat, and then having access to this level of sort of context and clarity in the form of an investigation. Okay, great. So the power of integration. So, Recorded Future can be used in many ways, but really it's so powerful for us to be able to use this data in the form of an integration. So automating that enrichment, process, automating the correlation aspect. So we've actually developed an integration with Microsoft into Sentinel, into Azure actually. So we can support a number of different, platforms within Azure. But the one that we're going to be on topic today is going to be Sentinel. So we developed this with Microsoft, and there's a few sort of key components to this. So we have our own logic apps, okay, out of the box, and they're going to be for the likes of enrichment, also correlation, so being able to correlate internal telemetry with Recorded Future data in line to create incidents. But then also using some of our other modules, we're also able to ingest a lot of alert data as well. So it could be, let's say, around a type of SCOT domain that's been registered for your brand, or a leak credential that we've seen, on the dark web. So alerts that we configure within the platform can also be fed into the Sentinel integration. Now, the team at CloudGuard have done some really amazing things to build on top of this as well, and again to automate that even further, and that's something that we're going to see very shortly. Now, that we have a very strong partnership with CloudGuard, and this is really allows us to get that real sort of deep cohesion between Recorded Future's data and really the experts on the CloudGuard side, that the analysts, but also the integration development that's taken place. Gaining that persistent coverage of cyber threats, it's very difficult for us to know these things without some form of automation. Automating detection and response to minimize business disruption. We always talk about, mean time to detect, mean time to respond. It's about bringing that down. How can we do more with less, right? And that's a key thing that we've got, again, in order to automate that entire workflow that an analyst would usually do. And really just our partnership, right? To help, drive security outcomes for like the likes of yourselves and end clients that CloudGuard have. And then finally, I won't go through all of these, but this is really just highlights again how intelligence can be used, and actually the impact that it does have. So you'll see here these 4 key areas in terms of time saving, increased efficiencies, increased capacity, and then increased visibility. And you'll see the numbers here on how this is a Recorded Futures customers, how we're seeing them benefit from the intelligence that we're collecting and providing to the end users. Saving 9.2 hours. Weekly on investigations and threat hunting. That's a key, being able to save that amount of time is extremely impactful. And then in terms of visibility as well. So the amount of data that Recorded Future is collecting into the product, we're in all areas of the web, right? Deep web, dark web, clear web. So again, we've got that visibility that we've, sort of done over the last, 14 years or so. So having, 61 increase in visibility into potential threats to an end customer. So these are, again, really impactful metrics here. Now that's it from myself. So what I'll do now is I'll pass on to the CloudGuard team to actually show you what the integration looks like.
Hi there, my name's Jonathan. I'm going to be taking you through the day in the life of a SOC. I'm a SOC engineer. I've worked previously as a SOC analyst, both on the internal SOC side and at the MSSP level. And I've moved to CloudGuard to start help building out a stronger position using automation. So let's have a look at the typical day in the life of a SOC. It all starts with incident creation. Incident creation, on average, you're looking at about 30 minutes. You start your day, hopefully the night shift is handed over the queue, there's not too much going on, but as the day goes on, obviously the queue builds up. Analysts will be prioritizing how much they've got to pick up, where they've got to pick up according to priority, high incidence, medium severities, and if they can, try and plow through the lowest severity incidents. This takes a little bit of time and means that on average, in accordance with SLAs, you've got about 30 minutes till the ticket is actually picked up and looked at. Once that happens, the analyst starts looking at the IOCs, the initial indicators of compromise, whether it be an IP address, a domain, a file hash, a URL. And this is where we use recorded future. And typically what an analyst would do is they would pick up the IOC or multiple IOCs, depending on the alert type, and take it into the recorded future platform. That can give them a source of truth to then start establishing what the IOC is about and what the danger is. And that comes back to, as Dan mentioned, the scoring system. From there, once the analyst has actually identified, okay, I've got an IOC, there is a potential threat, they need to investigate. Typically, that'll take 5 to 10 minutes, depending on the severity, sometimes a little bit less if it's a lower severity. It depends. It depends on what we've got. For the point of this, we're going to work with an IP address. And let's say we've got a medium severity score of about 50. Once they're doing the investigation, they will go and perform various different actions, go and have a look, see, okay, have there been sign-ins from this IP? They'll put together a kind of an idea of what happened. Once they've done that, they'll move on to the remediation step. The remediation step could be relatively short, relatively easy. If it's classified as low, it could take a lot longer depending on what's going to happen. If we see an IOC for, say, a command and control server, you could be looking at a much longer remediation time, depending on what's got to happen, if an account's got to be revoked, etc., etc. The final part of this is they need to make the stakeholders aware of what's happened and just communicate exactly what has happened, what steps have been investigated. And this is really where the power of recorded future and automation comes in. The first thing being the incident creation. Via automation, tickets are picked up instantly. And as we know, in the SOC world, seconds are minutes and minutes are hours. So getting that time down to picking up the initial ticket is key. Next is the enrichment. To get that valuable data from recorded future through an automated process saves the analyst a lot of time and a lot of digging. They can get the relevant threat scoring systems, they can get the additional context very quickly. And as Dan said, context is key, right? It can also lead to decision making. And that moves on to the investigation stage, where using the context that we've now got from the enrichment, that takes no more than about 30 seconds to get from recorded future into the system. The investigation and the ALRs, which Yak will cover off, can start making decisions and start putting together your investigation packets. This saves the analyst a huge amount of time and stops things getting missed, right? It typically With something like this, an ALR will only be a couple of minutes and it'll be ready to go. And that can then move on to the remediation stage. We can start closing things out quickly, right? Alleviating the stuff that is a benign positive quickly, allowing analysts more time to focus on the stuff that does matter, the high priorities. And then finally is the stakeholder communications. It allows us to give a clear path of what steps have been taken and why. Using the context that's been provided, it makes it very easy for a stakeholder to understand what's happened and why the outcome has been referenced. So to give you an idea very quickly, a standard manual investigation, about 15 minutes. That's maybe 4 an hour in an 8-hour day. You're looking at, what, 36, maybe 40 incidents handled by a single analyst. Using an automated approach and in combination with recorded future, you're stopping burnout and fatigue on you guys who are trying to handle often several hundred tickets a day. And that's generally the standard life of a SOC analyst. Pass over to Yak now.
Hey, hi everyone. My name is Jakub. I'm the principal automations expert here at CloudGuard. I simply love automating things. I've been in the industry for about 10 years, and throughout my working life, I've always found ways to increase efficiencies by automating things. So these are usually mundane tasks that you don't want to be doing over and over again. Why not just automate them? Save time, increase accuracy and efficiency. And it's something I found transfers very well into cybersecurity as well. So yeah, I love automating things and helping people through automation, getting the mundane tasks done automatically and giving them time to get on with more interesting, more exciting things and really getting to the meat of things. So I'm going to talk a little bit about our automation architecture here at CloudGuard, utilizing recorded futures, the same APIs that you would in order to integrate Sentinel with recorded future. What we've done is we've taken that away. And as an MSSP, we've integrated in exactly the same way, but into our ITSM platform, into Jira. So, paint a little story. MSSP starts the day by looking at a queue of tickets, and you don't want to have to go to every single customer's Sentinel instance to go and look at their tickets. You have everything in one place. So essentially, driving by that logic, we'll start off with Sentinel, and you'll see Microsoft Sentinel in our demo that we've got prepared after this slide. So Sentinel is where all of the logs are ingested for all the activities are going on. They are then correlated and alerts are created off the back of those events. If something seems suspicious, Sentinel will create an alert for that. And then at this point, our Guardian Logic App, a Logic App is an automated or automation platform provided by Microsoft in Azure. We've created one called Guardian, and what this does, it picks up every single incident that is created. It reaches out to recorded future. It enriches those incidents. John was speaking about IOCs earlier. IOCs are surfaced from Sentinel, and we will enrich these IOCs, and we will present them as an incident in our ITSM platform. And you'll have a demo of that as well. You'll be able to see what it looks like. This already in and of itself saves a lot of time. So where John was talking about how an analyst would have to manually go and copy the IOCs, go to the recorded feature portal, paste them in, look at the scorecards, what kind of a score has it got, where is it coming from, attribution, all of those things. They're done sort of immediately at the point of incident creation for the analyst, already saving them a lot of time having to bounce between portals and copy and paste information and then remember that to use as context for the investigation. The next step then is when ALR kicks in. So an ALR is an automated logical remediation app. So we'll have an ALR based on the kind of incident that's been created. And these ALRs are built in a modular fashion. So we've simplified it down for you here. You'll have an enrichment module. So we plug this module into our automation that allows the automation to interface with recorded future and get context around the IOCs that have been provided. The automation can carry out investigations. So it can, as an analyst would do, troll through hundreds and thousands of logs, correlate events, maybe pull out more IOCs off the back of those investigations, bounce back to the enrichment, get more context. And it can also carry out remediation. so we can disable an account. Or in the case that we decide it's not a suspicious activity, we can close the incident down straight away as benign positive. And all of these are tied together by our ITSM update module. What that allows us to do, so Jira is our chosen ITSM platform. It allows the Logic app or the automation to get the outputs of each of these steps and paste them into our Jira platform, just like an analyst would. So an analyst would go through the incidents, paint a story, create a summary of that story, paste it into our ITSM platform for others to see, carry out any actions, and then report that within the ITSM platform. I've done X, Y, and Z. Maybe reach out to the customer to say, hey, I need more information, or we've seen this, this, and this happening. We've carried out these actions. And as you can imagine, as all of these activities are automated, they can take anywhere from seconds to minutes, as opposed to having it go through an analyst where each of these stages could take minutes. So now it's time for the demo. So if you just hold on a second, I'll start sharing the demo screen. Here we go. So this is Microsoft Sentinel. So this is the platform, the SIEM rather, that will collect all of the logs, and it has analytic rules which go through logs every single time logs are generated or on a schedule, to check for suspicious behavior. In this case, we found a sign-in detected from a risky IP address. Now I'm doing this in retrospect because it's a bit difficult to do these demos live, just because of delays. So here's an incident that was generated saying, hey, we've detected a suspicious sign-in because it's come from a risky IP address. And that risky IP address list is provided by Recorded Future through their threat intelligence platform. So let's take a look at this alert. Click on View Full Details. And we can see over here on the left-hand side that our entities, so these would be our IOCs, in this case, the IP address and a user that's involved. Essentially saying that this user has been detected signing in from this IP address, which we reckon is malicious. You can see here that the severity of this is medium. However, when we look here, the actual incident has a high severity. And if you go into the activity log, we will see that a playbook, one of our ALRs, has changed this to a high severity. And we'll talk a little bit about why that's happened now. So an incident was created at 4:13, immediately picked up by automation, all within a minute, moved to a high severity. And this link here will take us to our ITSM platform, which will paint a better story of what happened there. So incident is created. And as we mentioned earlier, the entities are pre-populated and enriched as well. So we have a table here of entities. There's an account involved, an IP address, which is something Recorded Future can enrich. So we've gone ahead and done that. There's an RF score of 98, Recorded Future score of 98 out of 100. And some more metadata regarding that. It's a command and control server based in Amsterdam. And when this incident was created, it was created with a high priority. It's decided to up it to a high priority based on the confidence of the enrichment, so 98 out of 100. We're fairly confident that this is going to be bad. And so we've also updated Sentinel to a high severity as well. And then if we scroll down to the bottom, we can see, just like an analyst would, we see notes being popped in by the automation. Yellow notes are internal notes for our reference, and then anything in white is customer communications. So we look at the bottom at 4:13 p.m. automations picked up this ticket. Immediately afterwards, saying this user was signed in from this IP address, which is deemed malicious. I'm deeming it as a true positive, and we're moving on to incident response now. Then goes on to disable the user account and revoke sign-in sessions. And again, I would love to show you this in real time, but it's just one of those things that's difficult to show. And then proceeding to contact the customer, after which give us the customer summary of, look, we've seen this happen for this user on this date and time from this IP address. We've carried out these actions, and here's a little bit about what we need to do next now. And feel free to reach out for us. And all of this, as you can see, ticket was generated at 4:13 p.m. and we have responded with remediation actions carried out by 4:14 p.m. So this is the power of automation, where this would have taken a few minutes for an analyst to come to the same conclusion, maybe another minute or two to type up the summary. This is done instantly. We'll move back onto our slides now. So some key takeaways. What did we take away from our integration? Overall, reduce the mean time to resolve from the point an incident is created to the point where the incident is resolved. And granted, not everything can be fully automated to the point of remediation. You might have some very complex use cases. But the fact that the automation for every single incident enriches the incident and provides that information to the analyst already saves a lot of time. You may want to stop at just investigating incidents. The modular approach that we have allows us to do that. We don't have to go through enrichment, investigation, and remediation all the time. We can stop at just investigation, which again saves the analyst a lot of time and brings down the mean time to resolve quite nicely. We automate to remove human error. Humans are prone to making mistakes, especially when we're doing things over and over again. You'd think you'd get better at it, but it takes one slip up. And there's that old adage where we have to get it right every time. The attackers only need to get it right once. Automation can help reduce those errors or completely eliminate them as well. Less burnout and fatigue. And this is a massive one for the InfoSec community. Burnout and fatigue are things that are spoken about all of the time. You get things like ticket fatigue, where you are looking at incidents throughout the day over and over again. Log4j happened, and we just saw Log4j tickets flooding in one after the other, hundreds and hundreds of them. And it becomes quite hard to spot the real malicious ones from the non-malicious ones. Standardize on event enrichment. Some MSSPs may not have the luxury of having all of the enrichment come from one place. They may want to go to different portals to get various different enrichments. Automation allows us to standardize the enrichment that comes in, so it's always presented in the same manner. It's always there in the right context and shown in the same way over and over again, just making it easier for analysts to pick that up and carry out their investigations. Event and IOC cross-contamination, again, burnout, fatigue, having hundreds of tickets come in. Sometimes you might see an EXE involved in 2 or 3 different incidents, and you may be tempted to just assume that, oh, it's doing the same thing. I'm just going to close that one off. Where really, with the context of the IOCs, 2 different events, though they may look the same, may provide completely different outcomes. And so automation can help combat that, because it's always going to be going down that route of the same context, particular to that investigation. And finally, increase team capacity, visibility, and efficiency. Going back to the point of automating things, reducing mistake, reducing MTTR means the team has more capacity to pick up, say, the more high severity incidents, or those that are slightly more complex. Let's say in the world of automation, we have, for the most cases of benign positive incidents, which are pretty straightforward to build. You've got all of your tickets that are benign positive, or most of them at least, being shut down straight away. The analysts don't even need to see that, which gives them time to pick up the more interesting events, or the more pressing events that need to be looked at. It also gives time for a SOC to grow. They can free up time to start looking at other projects, give more time to do more valuable threat hunting, better reporting for customers, so on and so forth. And with that, I'll hand back over to Kurt.
Thanks, yeah. Yeah, I think just wrapping up on some of the key takeaways as well. I think there's probably 2 lenses you can look at this from, really. I think there's the SOC efficiency side of things, so operationally, then ultimately as a customer, what are the end benefits for you as a partner of somebody who's employing technologies like this. I think by using the MXDR and the integration of threat intelligence and recorded future, again, Dan mentioned the 48% quicker at identifying new threats. John talked about the comparisons maybe to a more traditional SOC and team that isn't incorporating threat intelligence to their service. Ultimately, the overall mean time to resolve is what's driven down. So servicing threats and picking up on those activities and attacks and mapping that back to threat scenarios and threat attackers. So how does all of this fit into CloudGuard and fit into our service? What you can see on screen really is a workflow or an under the hood of how we build the CloudGuard MXDR Protect service and where Recorded Future sits within that. So if we start on the left-hand side of the screen, really all about deployment and how we can actually structure the service. So we will sit down with a customer, with an end user, and we will discuss which areas of your environment are most important to you and what would you like to protect within them? So do you have any specific SaaS-based applications that are a concern where you know there's sensitive data you want us to plug into? Are you cloud infrastructure, cloud only? Are you hybrid? Are you on-prem? And what are the end user devices? We then, to utilizing data connectors, we push that into Microsoft Sentinel. Really, this is where the value add of your MSSP partner comes in. So yes, you've managed to ingest all of that data into Sentinel, but what can you do with all of that log data that you've collected? How efficiently can you monitor and detect threats within that data? And it's the integrations of technologies like Recorded Future that allow an MSSP to drive down mean time to resolve. So to sift through all of the noise of what's coming in through your estate and find potentially threatening behavior within that. So again, in that middle stage of Recorded Future, the automation and enrichment, once that's ingested into Microsoft Sentinel, we then push that through to our SOC. Again, it's a combination of automation, a combination of enrichment with the expert analyst 24/7 monitoring your environment. How do our customers interact with that? We don't expect you to sit in Sentinel 24/7. That's the job of our team. We push that all out into a dashboard for you. So that dashboard will present you with live metrics, not only on connector health, so you can actually see what level and what quality of data we're pulling in from your environment, but also the live metrics relating to threat incidents, relating to reporting, and allow you to easily flip through and easily see what's happening live within your environment day to day. Brilliant. Jack, come on to the next slide, please. Now is just an op for any questions and answers or Q&A. If there's anything that wasn't clear or anything you'd like more detail on from the session, please feel free to drop them into the chat or to jump off mute. Which is naturally the point where there are no questions, of course. Brilliant. Well, if there aren't any questions, it's a pleasure, I suppose, a change from normal behaviours to actually give you back some time rather than take more from it within the hour. Again, the session will be recorded. We're happy to distribute this via email to everyone. Thank you for your attendance. I hope you found the session useful. From our perspective, from CloudGuard and Recorded Future, what we can do from here is we will contact everybody who attended today. More than happy to set up further demonstrations to show you live threat scenarios in addition to what we covered with the account compromise, but also to discuss how this can fit into wider into your security strategy. So where else and where our customers actually seeing value from the service day to day and live out in the field. Brilliant. Well, that is all from me, folks. Anything else from you, gents, or is that a wrap up there?
Good. Thanks, everybody.
All good. Have a great day, guys, and thanks for jumping on. Appreciate your time as always.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.